And we are live with Brother Neil Frazier in the house, the man who has dedicated his life to uplifting his people, enlightening the world, and he does it in such a I don't want to say the word humble. That sounds weak, but you do it in a spirit of servitude, which makes you a very strong man. Because when a man can see the vision of his people and embrace it, and single-handedly, although we do have other teachers and other people who are doing the thing, but when you make it up in your mind to do this thing, you're doing it single-handedly with your resources that the Creator has given you from within. You see, I'm on your team, I'm on your side. But like Muhammad Ali, when he was in the ring, he had a whole set of trainers and cornermen. But when he's in
Yeah,
that ring, he had to use his resolve to beat that opponent. So while I'm
that's
here
right.
in your corner, all the hours that you studied, even before we met, our lives were on a righteous collision course. I was doing what I was doing. You were doing what you were doing. Even when I was doing some things I should have been doing, it was still on its way to the righteous
You and me
collision
both.
course at this particular. No, I know that, brother. But we got to, in the hills of North America, we all have put our foot in
Yeah,
certain things and did things. But the main thing is that we've evolved. The
that's
metamorphosis.
right.
That's
That's
so
right.
we're here in this day, December 18th, 2023, with a renewed strength and to pull ourselves
That's
up
right.
and to do the right thing. And like I said, you're a warrior. You're an intellectual and cerebral warrior, and you're a tall brother. And I know you got that Tommy Hearn strength. So, them hands are kind of big there, brother. So I know you can handle yourself. So it's not just a cerebral thing. Ain't nobody going to run up on you. But anyway, thank you for
That's
being
right.
back here and dedicating your time. And I'm just so thankful. I did say I'm going to take, I'm going to do something for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, for only 5 or 6 minutes. And I'll be right back. But I'll let you know. Okay. And
Absolutely. Okay.
talk to us. Tell us how your week has been.
Yeah.
Mine has been productive.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to this. Talk to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thank you again, Brother Lance, always for the kind words. And as when I hear you talk, it kind of evokes memories with me. Some people, well, all of the people I'm connected with, particularly you, and a
Yes.
few other people, invoke memories for me. And the thing that I know that what we have come through as black men, and we are still here to carry on the fight, speaks volumes about a person like you. Because so many times there are so many people that we see every day that just basically give up. Like, okay, there's nothing I can do to affect any kind of change, which is not true.
Indeed.
And
Yes.
so, rather, and that comes from them not walking in their purpose like you are. So, but when
Thank
you're walking in your purpose, every day is a new excitement.
you.
There's
Yes.
something to, right? You're looking forward to something every day. It's
That's right.
like you don't have enough time to do everything.
Mm.
So, brother, I'm appreciative of you. Always love to come on your show and share with the family. I
Mutual.
just want to greet everybody in the chat room. And this subject today,
Yes.
uh, our generational curse is real, ending the cycle of pain and suffering. And, a lot of our concepts, like anything else that we grow up with, well, I don't want to say concepts because they're not, because the concepts have existed in the world for tens of thousands of years from our people. But the
Yes.
narratives that are written, particularly that they take from what they call the scriptures, or the coming forth by day is where they really come from. Um, we look at this word curse, and I'm going to give a definition for it. The definition in English is a solemn utterance to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. And when you look at the etymology of words, one thing that's constant about English words is there's always some negative connotation attached to it. So I want to kind of look at this word in a different way. based on how our ancestors interpreted. So I'm going to give the definition of how our ancestors interpreted this word curse. And there were three elements involved. There was air, which is the breath, the spirit, or the spoken word. Then there was fire or energy transfer for retribution through the Netaru. And then there was water, which is the memory or our genetic memory bank. So again, we were so connected to nature that when we define things like this word curse, there was something in nature that we could attach this concept to. So again, much of what we know about this word actually comes from what we know as religion today. And I'll just read one of the scriptures that is really the religious foundation for this concept. It's in Exodus 20 and 5. You shall not bow down to them, for I, the Lord, am a jealous God. Okay. And visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those that hate me. Now, again, even in these narratives, there is some foundational principle that we can look at. Okay, and today we're just gonna go again. You know, it's important that our people are able to decipher the information based on, what's in our conception of things. And that basically, let's just be honest, is through the Bible. So we're going to use interchangeable concepts and narratives in order that we can get really into this and see if there really is something that we know as generational curses, or I like to refer to them as ancestral curses. Uh, so we're going to look at several areas. What are generational or ancestral curses? Also, we're going to look at what are the origins or the roots of generational and ancestral curses. Um, as I was saying earlier, it's also in terms of how our people viewed this, that there was a vibrational negativity in nature um, that can be passed down through a bloodline. That's one way, spiritually, and also it could be passed down through our genetics. And it's interesting, when I was doing the research, I ran across this lady who was described herself as a blood witch. And so it was very it was very interesting, some of the things she said. I'll probably go into a few of the things if they're relevant to what we're talking about. um, is there a spiritual component to generational curses, and if so, what is it? um, Talking to ancestral spirits, is this a form of the generational ancestral curses that we refer to, or invoking the presence of our ancestors when we do libations and things like that? Well, we know that there's a lot of blood in the soil all over the world, but particularly here in America. There is a lot of blood in the soil, so we know that blood and soil and the fertility of the soil has a very deep significance to our people, because most of the blood that's in the soil here on this continent and on many continents is the blood of our people. Our nation's curse is America curse. So, and also, as I was explaining earlier, that our people looked at what we know as generational curses as natural karma, which flows eternally, okay, through mainly through the spirit, through water, through our genetic memory bank. Another very important question is general generational and ancestral curses. Could this be the reason why Black people are still in their current socioeconomic condition? And as I was looking into this, I ran across another statistic. I know, all of us know this, but it just seems like the statistics gets higher every time you look at it. But 65% of Black households are fatherless. We know this in our community, but it made me look at something that these curses are inflicted on people based on people who are, this is why I refer to sorcery, because anytime you set up a condition for people to have negative experiences and a low quality of life, then this is some form of sorcery or something that you're doing to deliberately cause this. So let's start out by looking at the psychological characteristics, okay, of what we know as generational curses. Um, there are several psychological characteristics: anxiety, mistrust, lies, manipulation, deception, depression, fear, and self-destruction. Um, I also ran across the fact that there are territorial curses or territorial karma. So this is why there are some places in the world that has more negative energy than other places, and there are several reasons for that. But yeah, territorial curses are real. They're strong. They're there. You can look back throughout, antiquity, and we can see the footprints of this. Also, ancestral digital demons. This is something that I began to look into. We did a video about the digital demons, but also something that Lance points out a lot and told me is that these entities, they follow you. So now they're able to follow you through the digital world, which you know as AI. But this is also a form of how the generational curses can be borne out through bots and through algorithms. And the purpose of this is zombification. That's one of the things that when I talk about zombification, I'm talking about having people so dumbed down and cutting their spiritual connection to nature to the point that they operate and move according to narratives that are given to them. So let's look at some of the other psychological issues that or characteristics of generational curses. There's pain. There's physical, in some cases, physical pain. There's emotional pain. We know there's mental pain or anguish, and then there is spiritual deception. Um, we also know that there is natural, based on the laws of natural karma, that there's also a unnatural component to it. So this is where a lot of people get confused or get deceived because they are being told one thing when the reality that they're actually living is something totally different. And this causes I guess you can call them side effects in itself. Then there is organic and inorganic uh, characteristics of generational curses. Okay, we'll discuss that a little bit. And then there's sensory overload. Okay, so again, when we refer to this term generational or ancestral curses, there's a difference between what you're taught in the scriptures and what is the reality of what the original concept from our people meant. Again, it was air, fire, water, soil, or womb, fertile womb. And these were the concepts, okay, that these terms that we know in English, where they originated from. And we also look at, our people also looked at the three states of nature, okay, solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so all right, let's look at. I want to discuss something that will shed a little bit more light on this in terms
Brother
of,
Neil, I'm going to
yeah.
step back for a second. I got to go lift some packages. I'll be right back.
Okay, okay, brother.
Eight
Uh,
minutes. Okay.
okay, where this concept of global generational curses actually originated. So let's look at the term global. I'm sorry, generational curses, and then we're going to compare it to what our ancestors in antiquity, how they viewed this same concept of generational curses. So here's the definition: it's ancestral sin or generational sin, or what you know as sin. Ancestral uh, fault is the doctrine that individuals inherit the judgment for the sins of their ancestors. Or you probably heard the term sins of the fathers. It exists primarily as a concept in world religions. Generational sin is a reference in the Bible in Exodus 20 and 5. But when we go back 40,000 years ago, this concept, the ancient Ethiopia and Somalia, before Islam uh, came to the motherland, uh, this concept was that, and this was found in the caves of Somalia. Um, actually, the Western world just became aware of this, I think, in 2001. But between 40,000 and 12,000 BC, um, the people there, the black people, had what you know as a religion called Wakism, okay, where Wak was the supreme being and the creator, okay, and it's called Ebe Wak. And there were three major aspects of this creator Wak or supreme being that basically this narrative and concept of generational curses came out of. There was Ayanale, okay, which referred to angels or eternal light. Then there's her, who is the destroyer of all things that are against the creator's will or Wak. And then there is Nidar, which is judgment and divine retribution. And this is eternal. And again, I was talking about how the blood in the soil um, is something that is passed down to us through these acts that were perpetrated against Black people which there is definitely we can see the characteristics of this as we go down the different ages of time. We can see how this plays in. So let's go back to the original topic so we can jump right in here. So we were talking about what generational curses and ancestral curses are. And, when you look at genetics, this gives us a lot of the answers of how this process actually works. We know that in genetics, in your DNA and in your blood, things like diabetes, high blood pressure, mental illness, depression, a lot of these anxiety, a lot of these things are in our bloodstream or in our genetic bloodline. We know this from genetics and the biological makeup of ourselves. However, as we talked about, there's also the mental and the spiritual component of this. And when you look at the mental components of generational curses, you can see that there is some form of battle that is going on and that has gone on for hundreds of thousands of well of hundreds of years and thousands of years. We can clearly see this in the literary work, okay, that has been done by Europeans, okay, and we can look at our own history, okay, and see that there is a almost like a clash of cultures that creates this vibrational negative energy that is then passed down through the concept of water, okay, and the netaru of water, because water is a sign of our genetic memory bank that flows, forever. But we know that there is a mental component to these generational and ancestral curses because of the level of anguish, okay, and this trauma gene that exists that also affects Black people at a deeper level. Because again, we are the ones that are connected to the real energy of the planet and the universe. So these things, okay, that come down to us from our experiences uh, can be thought of as generational or ancestral curses, okay, because I asked the question earlier, is this the reason why um, Black people are still in their current socioeconomic condition? There are a lot of people that believe, well, one of the fake narratives was this story about Ham, which we know was a Europeanized story in order to further degrade our ancestors and our people. When the truth is that all of the knowledge that exists in the Western world came from our people and their original concepts. But just the fact that these traumas still exist in our beings um, is a form of how these curses that were perpetrated upon us. Okay. And as I was saying earlier, when you have a situation where people are put in projects, they're put in situations where the father is forbidden to be in the home, then yes, there are individuals, cultures that actually are the ones that help to bring these generational curses through the lines and the cultures of other people. So, when you really start looking into this, as I said, we see that the generational curses and ancestral curses, It's something that has been a ongoing spiritual warfare, okay, from the time that we encountered certain people that brought these negative traits into our existence. Okay, so we're also talking about our nation's curse. Is America cursed? Is there a natural karma, okay, that is coming to America just based on the fact of the violations of natural laws? So, people like to say, well, okay, well, I didn't participate in any of the things that, cause these issues for Black people, or my ancestors may have, but I did not. On a physical level, that may be true. But again, you exist on three realms. So when you look at the mental and spiritual aspect of ancestral curses, then that also means that there has to be individuals that actually um, perpetuate this cycle. Okay, and this cycle has to have the organic energy, okay, or people in a system that perpetuates these generational curses. So there is a conscious effort, okay, to continue to perpetuate these generational curses upon other people. And this is why I call it sorcery, because the act of doing that in itself is a form of sorcery or control over someone's thinking, and also the way that they view spiritual things. So I believe that this is a major reason why Black people are in the socioeconomic condition that they're in. That one of these generational curses, it has to do with a form of suffering or anguish that is still the trauma that our people experience here in America. We know that there is a gene that is passed down through our people, okay, that has been discovered, that is based in trauma. So how do we begin to effectively deal with this cycle of suffering? One of the things I believe, and one of the ancestral, we can call them curses, that is attached to our people, has to do with this element of hate. Because when you look at the element of hate, then you clearly see that the negative vibrations of it can be passed down from generation to generation, because people are not born hating other people. So this is a good example of how these ancestral or generational curses are passed down. So they're passed down through the spoken word, or as our people talked about, air. Okay, that this concept that we have now, that's being used by AI or Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, our people believe that the air carried the spoken word, and that it carried this spoken word down through the generations. Okay, this is why our people had a form of telepathy, because we believed in this concept, okay, that, the air carried, the words, not just in our presence, okay, but also into the future. I mean, not just in our past, but in our presence and also into the future. So when we look at the self-destructive behavior of Black kids and Black people, or Black children and Black people, we immediately see this form of ancestral curse that is on our people that continues to cause this cycle of pain and suffering. So, one of the ways that we have to deal with this is through the spoken word, through the air, the power of the air, the netaru of the air. And the reason why we have to do that is because this power and this spoken word and this energy, okay, does go down through the generations, and it's carried in our ancestral memory bank through the air. Okay. It's also carried down through the concept of water through our genetic memory bank. It flows from generation to generation. Okay, this energy flows. Also, fire, okay, divine retribution, which our people believed in wholeheartedly. That the element of fire was also what you know as a generational curse, because that fire is passed down, okay, and is not just a part of our past, it's a part of our present, and a part of our future. And how we use this fire is very important to breaking the cycle of pain and suffering that Black people live under or live in every day. Um, so, yes, I know for a fact that there is that generational or ancestral curses are real. Uh, the other thing about um, the reason why Black people, in my opinion, are still in our current socio-economic condition, when you look at the generational curse perpetrated upon us, is that we we don't we don't see the connection between what the suffering that took place amongst our people here in America and also throughout the world. When we start talking about territorial or global generational curses and, and ancestral curses, this goes way beyond the shores of America. Okay, because when you look at how this energy was carried uh, from continent to continent, we see that there is a definite ancestral spirit and curse associated with this energy. This energy was part or is part of the reason why this generational and ancestral curse of death and destruction still exists on a global scale. And all of this, what you see in nature, the natural karma with the volcanoes, the earthquakes, the floods, all of the inclement weather that you see, this is not just by chance or someone calling it climate control. This is way beyond that. And I believe that this is part of the divine retribution or the natural karma, okay, that is a result of these generational curses that have been passed down, not just through our people, but also through the people that perpetrated these acts upon our people. Um, so we were looking at some of the psychological characteristics of this and why this is important. This is important because it's not just, as I was saying earlier, it's not just passed down through our genetics and our bloodline. It's also passed down through our genetic memory bank. Okay. the things, because there are things that we are doing now today that are very destructive to our people, that you almost think to yourself, well, how can this be? Why is this getting stronger? Why is it that we can't break the cycle of this anguish, this pain and suffering? And why is it that generation after generation of Black people, I believe now 25 generations, okay, still are dealing with these ancestral curses? Now, when I begin to look at this, I again, as I was saying earlier, how other people can, actually put these curses on you through negative vibrations. Um, there's something interesting that happens with our people. And I know a lot of people refer to this as the Stockholm syndrome. But even beyond that, with everything we know about what has happened to our people, there's still a self perpetuating destruction associated with this. And so I kind of, for a couple of days, I was looking at, okay, so the ancestral curses that we experience, okay, in a psychological, not at the genetic level, but the anxiety, the mistrust that Black people have of each other, the lies that we live by, that we constantly regurgitate, and people that we worship are constantly standing in pulpits and telling us these same lies. All of this is connected to this ancestral anguish or mental anguish, the manipulation, okay, of people emotionally. Have our people chanting a certain word that they are emotionally attached to, that also has ancestral curses attached to it. Then there is the depression, okay, that exists among our people, that also, I believe, is a part of this ancestral energy or trauma that we carry. Okay, and then there is fear, where these same fear tactics that have always been used against our people to keep us in a lower socioeconomic system, in this Communist Manifesto fiat system, has a lot to do with our fear of being. It's almost like when a child leaves home at the first time, okay, that they have this fear of failure. And this is what has been fed into our people, that if we're not a part of the narrative of certain people and their ancestral curses, then somehow, our standards and values are not good enough. And then again, there's the self destruction through the air, through the spoken word. Now, and that spoken word um, travels, okay? It affects all of us because we have this electromagnetic connection that we don't know about, okay? And this is why we are affected more on an emotional level. One of the other things, too, is that our people, are attracted to energy when there is attention involved, okay? So by people understanding this, then they use this same energy, okay, against you and your own self-destruction. And so when we look back through time, we see these same curses that are perpetuated on our people. We see the results of it, that has us stuck in a cycle of pain and suffering. All right. And then when we look at because again, when you look at the element of air, fire, and water, you're looking at solid, liquid, and gas. Okay. So this these ancestral curses travel in nature. Okay, they exist in nature. All right, but we had a different concept of what they are. So now, when someone refers to ancestral curses or generational curses, then it has this great negative connotation to it, or vibrational negativity associated with it, okay, that continues to grip our people. Um, and then there's the spiritual component of it, okay. There are, so when we look at the spiritual component of it, you have to look at the origins and roots of the religious aspect of it. Okay, and the religious aspect of it, which is totally different from the spiritual aspect of it, is one of the most effective ways, once this was discovered, how to manipulate you, then this was passed down, okay, through the generational curses that were used by certain cultures to actually perpetuate a cycle from 300 to 1,000 years. We talked about that with the Willie Lynch syndrome. So we can definitely see that these generational curses, the roots and origins of it is someone or some people, okay, using these generational curses, understanding and comprehending their power, and then, you know, activating them into existence. So, you know, there's a lot of things associated with these generational curses, especially again when you know you can't ignore the fact of the social economic condition of Black people, but also the psychosocial condition, okay, of this pain and suffering, this cycle of pain and suffering, okay, that can be thought of as generational curses. So let's talk about what we can do to actually. We were talking about some of the things that we can do to now effectively end this cycle of pain or these generational curses, if you want to call them that, or ancestral curses, is that we have to look at the spoken word, okay? Because through the air and through this spoken word and through its gaseous state in the air, that this power of this or this vibrational negativity or generational curses, ancestral curses, actually live through these self-destructive spoken words that we use with each other and through the 440 hertz music. So all of this is because the music is a part of the air as well, the sounds and the vibrations and the frequency. So we see all of this. This is why in this warfare against these wicked forces, okay, and I like to explain it through the ancestral digital demons, that they can go back, okay, and look at your behavior from 300 years ago, okay, and so this is why they can constantly upload things that they know are triggers, emotional triggers for you. So there's the point I'm trying to make is, you know, some people, you know, they like to deal with hocus pocus. Okay, that's the best way I can say it. But in reality, these are actual acts that people put into motion. Okay, that perpetuates these cycles. And it works both ways because just because someone says jump off a bridge, are you going to go jump off a bridge? So when these entities put out this hate, um, you don't have to reciprocate it, okay? Because actually, that's a lower vibrational functioning being that operates off what you know as hate. But at the same time, this energy is passed down, okay, through a certain culture here in America and throughout the world that continues to carry this ancestral these ancestral curses. But we can reject them. And again, as I always say, the best way or our best weapon to fight against that is for us to embrace ourselves and accept ourselves for who we are. So just the fact that we still look to the very, and I guess this is something you can relate to, the Stockholm syndrome, but the very people that have perpetuated this evil wickedness against our people, we continue to look to for the standards of life, the values that, and so we participate in our generational and ancestral curses because we are passing down these things, these narratives to our children. So, when I hear people say, well, they put a hex on you or they put a curse on you or whatever, no, you put a curse on yourself because just the fact that you're continuing to perpetuate and live these behaviors out, okay, says a lot about how we actually help in the energy transfer of these generational curses. So, one of the major ways that we can cut this off is to stop participating in the energy transfer of hate. Okay, just because people hate other people, we don't have to do that. This is something that has never been in our culture when you look back into antiquity. Okay, that concept of hate never existed. Okay, in antiquity with our people. This is something that we learned. Okay, that's fairly new that we learned when we came in contact with Europeans. Okay, we learned jealousy, enviousness, the all of these things that we learned. Okay, and then we begin again. This is a prime example of how these ancestral curses are passed down through our own people without even knowing it. So every time you regurgitate a lot of the things that you've been indoctrinated in religion and education primarily, then you are participating in the transfer of this energy through narratives to the next generation. And this is how these curses perpetuate themselves. You, some of some of our people, not all of our people, still believe in the Bible interpretation of what a curse is. And that's okay if that works for you. But what happens with that is that that takes the responsibility of you being able to stop this cycle of pain and suffering and then projecting it on to other people. Now, the fact is that it did come from other people. But in order for you to break that, then you have to acknowledge the fact that you have power over that. You're not subject to that. Okay. But as you participate in the transfer of this energy, then you begin to give it more power. Sort of like when Lance always talks about, and we talk about how we give this fiat value. Okay. And that the minute that you withdraw your value from that, okay, then it loses its power. Okay, so I was just thinking, thank you, Creatrix, about one of the songs that our people used to sing. Okay, about the what can I can't even remember it. What can deliver you from sin or whatever? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Well, see what our people have to understand and comprehend, that these narratives come out of your concepts, that these names that are attached to them, okay, is what is the foundation of the germination of these ancestral curses. Okay, and I can't make this stress this point enough, that as long as you continue to regurgitate them, as long as you continue to pass these narratives and lies down to each generation, then you are the one, in effect, okay, that is responsible for this cycle of pain and suffering. So, I've heard people say, well, black folks, they like drama. Okay, they like to create, and to some degree, this is true. But my question is, why do you like drama? Why, and what is it? What is the root of why you like drama? And I say that it's part of these generational curses, okay, that were given to you here in America, and that this is at the root of it. Okay, so as long as you continue to speak uh, these words, self-destructive words to each other, as long as you perpetuate these lies that we know are lies, that is documented as lies, as long as you continue to pass down the deception, okay, the fear, okay, the spirit of depression, then you are directly responsible, okay, not no curse from Ham and all of these lies that you've been taught. You are responsible for the vibrational negative energy transfer that is happening, that continues this cycle of pain and suffering for our people. And finally, I want to talk about something that's very, very important, because, again, I know a lot of what we talk about as generational curses and ancestral curses is interpreted through the narrative, the biblical narratives that we grew up with. But um, this is just the surface of what the actual generational curses are. Okay, and the best description for that, again, is the Netaru, air, fire, and water. Okay, because these are the elements in nature that we knew how to control. Okay, we knew how to make it rain. Okay, we knew the power of fire. We never used elements in a destructive manner. We always used it to serve others. And see, this is where everything has been flipped around. The inorganic side of your existence, or the artificial side of your existence. Everything has been totally turned around. That's why you're always taught things backwards or in reverse, because it's to keep you confused. Um, but I want to say to our people that if we, okay, look at the divine laws and what they mean to us, and stop trying to be other people, okay, or stop living by the standards and values of other people that have nothing to do with who you are, okay, then until we start doing that, and taking the responsibility of doing that, and then teaching that to the next generation. This cycle of pain and suffering is going to continue forever and ever. So this is going to be a short one, brother. I I hope that this is something that can start a conversation for people, because certainly, it's no question that we're dealing with some form of ancestral curse. Um, there's no question about that. The real question is, um, are we the ones that's perpetuating it?
Yes, brother.
Yeah, and to a degree, we are. See, we can no longer, Brother Lance, we can no longer transfer blame to other people. This is the biggest mistake that we're continuing to make, and we're going to pay a heavy price. Our children are already paying a heavy price for it, but we're going to pay a much heavier price because we have the power to change this. Okay, but for some reason, we don't want to take the responsibility of this. Okay, and so these generational curses and the pain and suffering of it and the mental anguish of it and even the spiritual retribution of it, black people are not going to escape this. I don't know, you can strike out at other cultures all you want, but you're the primordial seed in the primordial waters, okay, and the fertile womb. This is who our women are. Our men of the primordial seed, we have to start taking responsibility for this. But as long as we continue to perpetuate these different ancestral curses that have been put upon our people by sorcerers and sorceresses, or whatever you want to call them, witches, uh, then we are going to be subject to their power, which we have the power to break that. But I guarantee you that wherever you go today, whether you're in America or wherever you're at, you're going to see some self destructive behavior with black people towards each other. I guarantee you're going to see that. And see, this in itself continues to draw this negative energy. Okay, but somehow we don't see this, or we don't want to accept responsibility for this. So yeah, these curses can be broken tomorrow if our people were willing to do that. But our people love this wickedness too much, man. They're not gonna, and I'm not talking like I'm some perfect person or anything. I'm just saying that from what we know about these people with the Willie Lynch mentality that have been perpetrated upon our people, and how these ancestral curses are carried by their descendants, that we can plainly see, okay, that nothing's going to change for us. And I know people want to rah rah, and yeah, it's the time is over for that. There's no more rah rah in me, brother. Because see that if you go back and look at our history in this country, uh, they've always taught us the rah rah. Okay, where we were the entertain. It's still our way today. That we're the entertainment for them. We have to, even when we do things that are destructive to our own selves. Okay, but in every area of human activity, we are still the entertainers. Okay, this is, and I believe that this is a generational curse that we have to break, this entertainment mentality. Okay, when we should be focused on um, taking our rightful place, okay, to run the areas in society that we need in order to prevail. So, but yeah, that's all I have for you today, brother.
Well, you said a mouthful and you filled the plate up. So we have a lot to feast on until we see you next Monday. And by that
Yes,
time, trust me, the hunger will be there to hear more.
sir.
Thank you so much for the
Yes, sir.
mental, spiritual, and it's also physical nutrition. whether people know it or not, but when wisdom is shared, it's not just a cerebral thing.
That's
It's
right.
something that
That's
permeates
right.
every part of your being. So
That's
that being
right.
said, brother, thank you so much. And I'm going to play this over again tomorrow while I clean house and absorb it. Because, you know, even though we don't celebrate this thing called Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
but in that tradition of those who used to, we may remember that when you had that turkey on Thanksgiving, you never finished it. There were leftovers in the fridge. And lots of
That's
times,
right.
get up in the middle of the night and nobody's looking. You didn't even get a plate. You just snatched a piece of the turkey off. So all week,
That's
I'm going to be snatching a
crazy.
piece of this wisdom off until you come back
Yeah.
again on Monday. So thank you so much, brother. It's
Thank
always
you, brother,
appreciated.
man. Peace and love to you, brother.
Thank you. Always, brother. Much love. All right. Peace.